Sweaty palms, a racing heart, and the sheer, paralyzing dread of staring down at a blank test paper. For millions of students, math induces a physical anxiety response, snapping their confidence before a single equation is even solved. Out of an entire curriculum of history, science, and the arts, we have to ask why this one specific subject triggers such a severe psychological paralysis. Take a humanities subject like literature. It allows for multiple interpretations and subjective exploration. Mathematics, however, operates differently. It is strictly black and white. You are either entirely correct or you are entirely wrong. For a developing mind, this zero margin for error creates an intense, high-pressure environment. Every single problem feels like a tightrope walk without a net. What looks like a lack of intelligence or capability is usually a predictable psychological reaction to an artificially rigid, high-stakes testing environment. The pressure of right and wrong is compounded by the way the subject is structured. Math education is strictly sequential. Every new lesson relies entirely on the lesson that came before it. If a third grader misses a core concept like basic division, the foundation is compromised. That singular gap guarantees a compounding struggle in 4th grade, 5th grade, and beyond. The confusion literally snowballs as the formulas get more complex. Facing a daily task you lack the tools to complete takes a heavy emotional toll. Months of prolonged frustration inevitably harden into a deep-seated, persistent fear of the entire subject. By the time parents identify the panic or failing grades in middle school, they are witnessing the inevitable breaking point of a years-long chain reaction. Once that fear takes root, the response requires immediate emotional triage. The most common reflex from adults is to offer reassurance by saying, "Math is easy, you just aren't trying hard enough." While well-intentioned, this dismisses the child's very real distress. It tells them that their struggle is a personal flaw, isolating them further in their panic. The required first step is emotional validation. Acknowledge the difficulty aloud. Tell them that math can be tough, and frame the assignment as a shared team challenge rather than a solitary test. From there, the concept of a mistake has to be explicitly redefined. An incorrect answer cannot be treated as a terminal failure. It is an absolutely required stepping stone to actually understanding the mechanics. Creating this psychological safe space is the non-negotiable prerequisite. Until the emotional threat of failure is neutralized, no actual teaching can penetrate the anxiety. With the emotional threat lowered, the next step is to physically extract the subject from its intimidating academic context. A black and white worksheet full of equations often looks like a hostile foreign language. We bridge this translation gap through gamification and real-world application. This means executing stealth mathematics. Doubling a recipe in the kitchen is fractions. Calculating a discount at the grocery store is percentages. This extraction works because it forces the brain to process mathematical mechanics without the psychological triggers of a ticking clock or a red grading pen hovering over the paper. While they work through these real-world problems, how adults offer praise must also shift. Praising a fast, correct answer reinforces the binary trap. We have to reward the struggle itself, acknowledging the effort it took to untangle a tricky division problem. Rewarding effort over speed or accuracy builds a growth mindset. It teaches the brain that ability is not fixed and that persistence yields results. By transplanting math from the desk into daily life, it ceases to be a high-stakes academic performance and becomes a low-stakes practical utility. These interventions at home are vital, but for these changes to take hold, the physical and social architecture of the classroom must also adapt. The traditional model of instruction relies heavily on silence and solitary work. This isolation heightens the pressure of the binary right or wrong framework, leaving a struggling student alone with their frustration. To counter this, many modern classrooms are shifting toward active, vocal workspaces. Here, students talk through logic and use physical tools to represent abstract numbers. Using visual models and physical blocks reframes the subject. By turning a silent test into a collaborative, hands-on puzzle, the individual pressure to perform is replaced by a collective effort to solve. Curing systemic anxiety requires dismantling the solitary environment that makes a single mistake feel like a public failure. Ultimately, this requires a much broader shift in how society views the act of struggling to find answers. This chart illustrates a typical career in professional mathematics, revealing a crucial irony. The world's greatest mathematical minds spend the vast majority of their careers being completely stuck on unresolved problems. If we can teach children to become comfortable with that sensation, to accept that being stuck is the normal state of learning, the fear loses its power. When adults deploy patience, integrate real-world practice, and consistently praise the effort rather than the immediate result, the student stops viewing their confusion as a sign of failure. Stripping away the expectation of instant perfection transforms the struggle into a standard part of the process, allowing curiosity to finally take root.